The Sports Broadcasting Network proudly presents Championship Late Model Racing live from FiveFlags. It's the Majors American Sportsman Tour. Tony Trapasso up in the booth tonight, joined with me by my new partner in crime, the man, the myth, the living legend himself, Mr. Jonathan Leach. John, welcome to Pensacola, Florida.
Always a pleasure to be back at Pensacola, Tony. This is one of my favorite places to live. FiveFlags is an amazing track. Always pretty hot whenever there's racing going on here, but that's what it's like in the Deep South. But there's that lovely Gulf Coast breeze no matter what when you're here, which makes it oh so nice, especially for racing.
Absolutely. Relatively calm conditions tonight, only 71-degree ambient air temperature, 73-degree track temperature, and only a 2-mile-an-hour wind, which is going to be fun tonight. Cars starting to grid up already. Sorry for the little bit delay there at the start, folks. Some technical issues. But starting up on point, setting pole time tonight is going to be Brian Halleck in the 3. He's going to be joined on the front row with Joey Haynes. Mark Herzog and Ozzie Milwane going to roll off in row number 2 with Robert Deloche and Jeremy Morrison starting in row number 3. John?
So row 4 is going to consist of Rob Courtney starting 7th, Maurice Gomelin in 8th, Daniel Davis starts 9th, Bryson Shute would be 10th. Go ahead, Tony.
Don Donaldson and Mike Lane going to make up row 6. Row 7 brings us Richard Mcclure, Adrian Steffen. Richard McClure and Adrian Steffen rolling off in row 7, with row 8 going to Rob Gimbel and Spencer Todd.
Chris Sherbin and Roger Shank are going to be 17th and 18th. 19th and 20th are going to belong to Kenneth Reeder and Stephen Paulison. We're going to go ahead and take that grid graphic off because pace lights are out. Tony, we're about to go racing here at FiveFlags.
Into the 3-4 complex. The only thing that's left is, or down the back straightaway, I should say, and into the 3-4 complex. The only thing that's left to do is you adjust the 5-point safety harness, make sure everything's nice and snug for you, adjust the visor as the pace car makes the hard left turn. Race fans, it's showtime!
Showtime
Halleck.
Indeed, Tony, as Brian Halleck jumps out to a quick lead over the number 57 of Mark Herzog, with Joey Haynes third, coming into turn 3.
Absolutely. Herzog giving
We got to spin.
Herzog around in 4. Looks like Herzog may have gotten some help on that one. We'll have to go to the instant replay to take a quick peek.
I will go on back to that real quick, and we'll see what happened there to Mark Herzog. Caution's out, lap 2. Here we go. Coming into turn number 3. Herzog at the bottom. Got just a little bit too much on the tires there. Just brought it right around. Doesn't look like a terribly hard impact there. Kind of stays on the inside wall. The field goes by. I think he's going to be all right, Tony.
Absolutely. Cold tires, caught the apron in the middle of 4, trying to get that low run to get a good run off of 4 and down the front chute. Now, the thing to be mindful of, especially here in Pensacola, there's a bump in the outside lane coming off of 4. So if you run it too wide and you're flirting with that outside wall, you're going to eat it, because there's a nice little speed bump, if you will, and it'll really unsettle the back of the car, and you're going to have more problems, you know, the higher you get. So looks like we might have to break out the at-home drinking game tonight. And if you do want to play the at-home drinking game, every time there's a caution, take a shot. And if you want to play the Pro Edition, every time there's a caution, you take a shot for the number of caution that we're on. And if you don't die of alcohol poisoning, you win. But Halleck, Haynes, Milwane, Deloche, Morrison, Courtney, Davis, Gilman, Shute, and Don Dolson rounding out your top 10 as they're racking them, stacking them, and we're going to fire them off again here. Looks like field's starting to double up, John, and looks like we're going green next time by.
Yes, indeed. I'm showing pace car lights are out, so Brian Halleck and Joey Haynes are going to be on the front row. We're going to see if that number 3 can get another good jump out in front of the field here. or if Joey Haynes is going to stay tight with them into turn number 1. Should be exciting. In fact, I'm seeing 2 machines with the exact same paint scheme of the 338 of Joey Haynes, and also Robert Deloche in the number, correction, that is Ozzy Milwain in the 114, as there comes the pace car inside. Tight the belts down. Here we go, Tony. Brian Hollick, another amazing restart. He's going to have the field cleared in turn number 1.
Absolutely, as Milwain gets by his teammate Haynes. Now, for those of you new to the Major Series, these guys do have teams that they're on, so you're going to see identical paint schemes, and they do that every week. So Halleck for Ford Racing, currently showing the way, and Milwain and Haynes in those Torco Racing liveries, they're in a Ford Racing sandwich right now. Oi! Somebody just pounded the turn 4 wall.
Unfortunately, all I did was hear it. I didn't see it. I'm not showing anything on my events
like
planner, but oddly
Roger
enough,
Schenk may have done it, but these guys are flat getting it right now. Is top 10 sorted out pretty well. Spencer Todd throwing haymakers at Richard Mcclure right now, as Mcclure is the 3rd team for that team of Milwain and Haynes. So
this seems to be about the only 2x2 racing on the track at the moment, which surprises me considering just how fast-paced that FiveFlags is. But I mean, perhaps that might be a lot of because we already saw Herzog go around, so the tires probably haven't come through yet, and that bottom groove is probably really just the best way to get around.
This early in an event, it's going to be about the only way you can get around. Now, these guys do have to go 300 laps, and they only have 1 fast repair in their pocket, so they've got to be a little bit mindful early on. A little bit of trepidation. You're not going to see anybody doing any crazy moves this early. You just want to try to stay as even keel as you can and not let the leaders get too far out, as we've got a freight train at the front of this thing, John. And yellow flag's out. Rob Courtney. Absolutely.
And correction
Courtney
there, like I was trying to say, I'm showing Rob Courtney. I went off track, Tony, and that's what you mentioned. I'm going to bring him up here as soon as these machines get around to the pace car. Here they are. Trying to show what happened with Rob Courtney.
Courtney had a fun one going on there, that's for sure.
Wow, he got loose coming out of the corner. Real good job getting on the brakes. Slow impact with that inside barrier there on the grass, and I think he's going to be another driver that's going to be okay with minimal damage.
Not too much damage in that Toyota tonight, but you know, that's definitely going to put him behind the 8 ball, because now he's got 19 hungry wolves sitting in front of him. He was able to stay on the lead lap, but that's another part of the track that you're going to have to worry about, because you can see the sun starting to set here off of turn 4, which means that it's been beating on turn 2 the entirety of the day. So a little bit slick out there, and that's where they bring the haulers in, as the pits for the haulers are actually on the outside of 1 and 2. So there's a lot of dust, debris, and other whatnots that get brought onto the track. So yeah, I mean, turn 2 is usually not a good one, and like I said, turn 4, if you get to the high side, you're along for the ride.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. We put the weather up on screen a couple moments ago. The track's showing 23 degrees Celsius, and for those of us that are Americans, it's around 74 degrees for the track temperature.
Correct.
And the outside air temperature is kind of an abnormally cool October day, about 70 degrees in the Sim Pensacola. So that's 71, 70. A degree is not going to be a huge difference to us, but it might be to these tires. But
absolutely.
So those pace lights are out, Tony. This one's for you.
Absolutely. Field working its way through the 3-4 complex. Pace car goes in, and Halleck immediately jumps on the loud pedal gets a good jump as Milwayne able to go with him. Milwayne starting to get Halleck's timing down as Milwayne starting to play duck and peek with Halleck right now and trying to figure out what he's got to do to get that preferred line going through 1 and 2. Gives a good run off of 4, and right on the back bumper of Halleck is Milwayne.
Absolutely, yeah. Milwayne's doing an excellent job. In fact, let's go on board with him for a couple laps while he's staring at the bumper. This number 3 of Brian Halleck on board with Milwayne now. God, he's got lime green all throughout the machine, or maybe not quite lime green, more like slime green, you know, from Nickelodeon. But he's following right in Brian Halleck's tire prints, or tire marks right here. Lets it roll through the center, gets a great drive off. This is really impressive seeing how close he's willing to drive to this competitor in front of him.
Well, that's the thing about super late model racing. You cannot be afraid to lay the chrome horn to somebody, but Milwayne knows that it's a little too early to be doing crazy things like that, because there's going to be more than enough time for Halleck to get back to him, as Milwayne and Halleck starting to walk away from Joey Haynes right now.
Those two guys seem to be the kind of, I don't want to say that the cream of the crop right now. It's too early to say that. But they're definitely making a statement that they're just a touch faster than the third place car of Joey Haynes. And Joey Haynes has kind of stepped out on 4th. I'm not sure, however, though, it's possible that there was a little bit of a battle for 4th, and that's kind of what slowed these guys up. But the top 3 seeming to separate themselves from the rest, with Brian Halleck leading the way and Ozzie Milwayne not really ready to give much of an inch.
Well, it's not really to be a surprise, as Milwayne leading the American Sportsman division points, and Halleck currently sitting in second, only 11 points behind. So with it getting this late in the American Sportsman division championship run, every point counts, as we've got a heater going on for 7th right now.
Yeah, quite the battle indeed. Here you've got number 44 of Maurice Gomelin and the number 84 of Richard Mcclure. Spencer Todd and Adrian Steffen involved here. They're single file now, but just a couple moments ago they were 2 wide. Looks like the 56 of Steffen's getting ready to set up Spencer Todd for a pass here. Maybe that'll happen in the next couple moments.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, Adrian Steffen, not a stranger to trying to push one in there, as I mean, these guys are just flat getting it right now. You know, clean and green, and looks like there might be a battle starting to heat up around the number 4 spot in front of these guys. It's Deloche, Morrison, and Shoot. Or Shooty, I do apologize. That is Bryson Shooty in the 002. You know, those guys just stem to stern right now, and no quarter asked for, no quarter given. But the battling that they're doing is letting Joey Haynes in the 338 start to pull away from them. As, whoa, Morrison trying on Deloche. Not able to make it happen in 4, and that's going to let him fall back into the clutch of Shooty. Shooty looking low through 1 and 2.
Yeah, excellent battle going on right here. And what we noticed with Morrison right there is I feel like he had to check up just a little bit to stay out. Number 235 of Robert Deloche. That wouldn't have been an early caution, and not something that either driver would have wanted to happen. But, I mean, we both know with the super late models, if you kill your momentum, it takes a couple laps to get it back, as with all sorts of short track racing. And FiveFlags definitely fits that category, but battle's not over yet. Morrison's regrouped. He's about to bring the heat back on to Robert Deloche, but he better not make any mistakes, because like you said, Bryson Shooty's right there waiting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Is, you know, this is one of your closest battles on track right now, and everybody playing nice so far. Oh, into the wall for Shooty. Shooty just annihilated. And
car looks rather good for hitting the wall. Let's go ahead and show everybody what happened here. I'm showing Roger Shank as well.
It was the car that was in front of Shooty. Yeah, there we go. The 75 is who ate the wall and just clobbered Shooty.
Oh, you know what? I mean, I went for a ride, but it really wasn't a huge impact.
No, it wasn't. And, one of the things that when you bring a super late model to the Snowball like this, and we've got takers going down pit road to try to get a little bit of damage repaired, maybe a fresh set of shoes. But, when you bring a super late model to an event like the Snowball like we are tonight, one of the things you want to make sure that you do is you want to reinforce that nose piece, almost like they used to do on the super speedways in the NASCAR top series, where they would put boilerplate behind the fiberglass to make sure that if you did make nose contact, you didn't get a ton of damage from it.
Well, I mean, like you said earlier, with short track racing, super late model racing, you got to be willing to use the nose of your machine, and that's the reason for it right there. I guess we could say, though, with lap 37 out of 300, 36 complete, coming to complete 37, a lot of drivers have been involved. A few drivers have been involved in some stuff, and they've been relatively lucky, I should say. And Mark Herzog's made his way back up to 12th after that lap 2 spin from 2nd. So he's slowly working his way back through the field, already, halfway up to where he was. We're going to keep an eye on him on this next run that we get.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing to keep in mind, too, is Herzog has 15 lap newer tires than anyone that's going to be restarting around him, as the lights are out on the pace car, John.
Here we go. The pace car is going to speed off, thinking he's a super late model. He's not. Brian Halleck is on the gas. Another excellent restart. Ozzie Milwang going to follow in his footsteps once again. Let's see if Ozzie's got anything for Brian coming into turn number 3. Doesn't look like it just yet, as Brian is going to roll through the corner very well. Completes lap 39, coming to lap 40 at this time. The racing, however, is for 6 back here with Spencer Todd and Adrian Steffen. That's about what was racing before that caution came out, Tony, and these guys haven't stopped. The 318 of Spencer Todd stuck on the high side, battling the 56 of Adrian as well as he can. He's holding him down, but I don't know how long you can stay on that high side like that and continue to battle, because there's that bump, I believe it's in turn 1, correct me if I'm wrong.
4.
That turn 4, thank you, and that high line is where you catch it, and it looks like Steffen is going to prevail, and Spencer Todd is going to have to give up the position, relegate him to 7th with the 41 machine. I'm showing the 41 on screen, but the 37 of Kenneth Reeder is all over his bumper.
And this is why we don't let tech officials drink before they hand out the transponders. But, Reeder giving Todd everything he can handle right now. And Reeder's got to be careful, because he's got Mike Lane right in his rearview mirror filling it up. As here comes Herzog as well on the back of Lane.
Herzog really moving up 2 spots already since the drop of the green flag, up to 10th. Like you mentioned, he's got fresher tires than everybody. His pit stop back on lap 15 was a 13.6. I'll assume that means at least right side tires. Really making some noise. Looking forward to seeing him get back up front. A few minutes ago, Tony, I think Robert Gamble had some trouble. I'm going to try to put that on screen real quick and see what happened. Following Robert Gamble's going to clip the wall here. Oh, a little bit of contact.
And that was the 75 of Morrison going after him. And Morrison not afraid to trade paint with these guys tonight. And not sure if league management's going to be too happy with him by the time all's said and done. But, you got to respect a guy that knows what this race means and know what this track is worth. As now he's giving Don Donaldson all he can handle.
Yeah, I can't imagine Jeremy Morrison's going to want to hang out back here for very long. We saw him up in the top 10 prior to that caution a little while, about 15 laps ago. So I don't think he's going to stay back here for too long. Might just bide his time. He did not take fresh tires. It's possible his tires are a little warm. But I think before this one's done, we're going to see some more of him, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Schutte and Mcclure going hammer and tongs right now as well, it looks like, in front of those guys.
Sure, here comes Bryson Schutte. Is he going to give him the bumper? No, he checks up just a little bit narrowly. Doesn't scrape the double two. Excuse me. That's Richard Mcclure narrowly not scraping the double two of Bryson Schutte. Sorry, I'm making a mistake there. That super bright yellow machine of Richard Mcclure, you can't miss it. It's falling back a little bit. Got a battle in front of those guys now, Tony, though. It's Chris Sherburne.
Chris Sherburne trying to make some headway right now. But he's got to be careful because he's got a very hungry Steve Paulson working to his inside. Paulson with the run off of 4, going to wrestle the spot away. And just like that, Sherburne back one more spot to 12.
I mean, it just goes to show what can happen when passing goes wrong. Sherburne was working on, I believe, working on Rob Courtney a little bit in front of him. Had to check up just a bit, probably got in. Oh, big wreck in front of everybody. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Spencer Todd going for a wild one there.
Let's see what happened to Spencer Todd. Just gets loose and everybody trying to avoid it.
Well, no, the car got loose in front of him, and he tried to stay off of the car that got loose in front of him. That looked like it might have been Adrian Steffen in the 56. Yeah, it was.
Yep, that is. You're correct. Yeah, Adrian Steffen got loose, and all he had to do was lock up the brakes, try to avoid it. Really not a bad job, though, honestly.
A little bit of contact from the 41.
Wow, that was...
and Kenneth Reeder getting into the back of Steffen. So,
I want to
break. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Tony. We're going to get better at this, but I said I want to mention Spencer Todd. Just show that one more time. Show what he sees and watch his excellent job staying out of this. Just sends the car left, gets on the brake, stays off the wall, and avoids contact with the other drivers, gets back on the track, loses positions, but not a damaged race car. Like, huge heads-up move. Big props right there to the 318.
Absolutely. I mean, that was probably the biggest heads-up move that we're going to see, as it looks like Steve Paulson bringing it pit side to get for Mr. Feelgoods and a fresh tank of Go Fast on the 322. And I cannot wait for the day that iRacing gives us letters to go with numbers on short tracks, mostly because you rarely ever see 3-digit numbers in the real world. You'll see like the 57K, 57D, or the 23D, 44G, something like that, whereas iRacing doesn't have it in the algorithm yet. But again, you got to be impressed with what we're seeing so far, John.
Why wouldn't I be impressed, Tony? This is FiveFlags. I love Pensacola. I love racing. I have a newfound love for super late models thanks to iRacing. I never realized how much of a blast it would be to drive. Everything happens so much faster in these cars than when you're in the sim driving the Cup cars or the trucks or even the Formula 1 cars. Things just seem to happen faster in these cars. And these drivers, real life and in the sim, don't get enough credit. This is not an easy car to drive, and FiveFlags is not an easy track to drive either. It's been a lot of fun. Not really the caution fest that we thought. I mean, we're seeing some things, but we're not seeing any huge wrecks. Nobody's really been at fault. It's just been a slippery racetrack, and that's kind of one of the things that FiveFlags is known for. It's a real slick track, and it's showing that today.
Absolutely. As you're talking about a 2,500-pound stock car, as the green flag comes back out, 2,500-pound stock car, about 800 horsepower on a 10-inch wide tire. These things are made to go in circles, and these guys are putting it at it. As we've got a battle for the lead, Milwain and Halleck throwing haymakers at each other.
Best restart of the night so far for Milwain, as he was side by side with Brian Halleck for a moment. Unfortunately, the high lane is not going to prevail. Looks to me like he's going to have to just turn left and follow in his footsteps. He's not quite ready to do that yet, but here he does. All right, coming into turn 1, does Milwayne have anything else for Brian Halleck? Right in his tire tracks, less than a car length separates the two.
Fifth. Looks like we got a battle for fifth, getting hot and heavy right now. That is the 44 of Gamillion, and
that's the 37-41.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I had to look for a second there. That's Reeder, just going after each other, and here comes Stefan. Now, the big question is, does Reeder have a receipt coming? We're probably gonna find out here momentarily.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens. You know, really, he's also not in the position he wants to be in. He needs to try to pull down in front of this 56. He needs to fight as hard as he can. Otherwise, I think he's going to lose 4 spots, and he's going to manage to pull down, and then he goes back to the high lane. You know, I'm thinking that he just drove in a little bit too hard there, and it's going to let Adrian Stefan get side by side with him, and he's subject to a freight lane loss of positions now, as you've got Herzog there, Courtney is there, and Lane is under that underneath him as well.
Absolutely. Is Reeder doing everything he can to try to battle back on the high side? Now, the only thing he's doing right now, as we're getting ready to put 65 in the books, since we've got 300 laps tonight, the only thing he's doing is he's laying down rubber in that second lane to possibly be able to be used more effectively later on. As, whoa, Stefan getting a little bit sideways off of 2. And that's going to let the 57 of Herzog get right on his back bumper.
It sure is. It's going to give Reeder another opportunity potentially to get down the lane if he wants to. But, I mean, it's possible, Tony. Do you think that these drivers think about things like that? I'm going to run the higher groove the first half of the race, give up some positions just because I want to run the higher groove later. You think that's something that these drivers really think about? As we got trouble behind them.
But we stay green. Wow, looks like Schutte was one of them again. Sherburne was definitely involved in that one, as we got problems in 2 now.
Another car around, the 3, or excuse me, the 03 of Don Dawson around. The 333's around.
Oh.
Steve Paulson's around as well.
Dawson not ahead, or sorry, that was, I believe Spencer Todd was not a happy camper. Yeah, that was the 333. They got caught up in that one. He gets into the back of Dawson and then gets turned by Paulson, and Davis not happy as he just blasts the inside Armco.
Yeah, that's probably the worst wreck of the night right there. That involves several cars. Driver that just didn't quite anticipate the driver in front of them when their braking zone was going to start. Just a little too close. I mean, really wasn't that big of a tap either, but it's a matter of how loose this track is. Anything that gets those rear tires upset here, and with the high horsepower of these machines, just seems to send these vehicles around. I mean, I think this is going to sound really weird, Tony, and I'm a little younger than you, so I grew up watching the dumb show of SpongeBob, but it makes me think of, like, SpongeBob learned to drive. He has to use his big toe, otherwise he does stupid things. I feel like that's how you have to drive these cars around this track. Super light on the throttle. And, I mean, you're probably full throttle for maybe 150 yards, 200 yards maybe, before you got to get off and start braking again, because of just how loose this racetrack is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't let the high banks fool you, folks. Yes, this track does let you carry a lot of speed with how sweeping the corners are, but it, like we said, 2,500-pound car, 62% of that on the left side, 10-inch wide tires that are a relatively sticky Hoosier compound. So we're getting to the point where these guys are really going to have to be up on the wheel. As we're 72 laps in the books in this one, as you know, you're to the point where now you really got to be up on that wheel. As we did see some takers go down pit road that time. Dolson, Morrison, Davis, and Todd and Paulson all going pit side that time.
I'm showing Roger Shank. Well, he pitted lap 54, so Dolson has the freshest tires on track, or freshest equipment. That could include fuel only. He might have been a fuel only stop, but maybe right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking right sides maybe, but probably.
Anything under 10 seconds is fuel only. Anything under 30 seconds is right sides only.
Oh, that's right. These cars do take a long time to service. This isn't like the professional cup teams.
Because
but anyhow,
it's a wide 5 hub instead of that tight grouping like they have on the cup cars.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we're green flags back out. Brian Hollick's going to take lead once again. This time, Milwane's not side by side with him. Perhaps these guys are just kind of saving their stuff. And, Milwane doesn't have anything to hang his head over. He's been with Halleck the whole race. Just no reason to really force the issue yet. I'm starting to think now at lap 76 and 300, it's going to be these two guys going forward at the end unless something really weird happens. Mark Herzog. Back to fourth, Tony. He's coming.
Absolutely. And the one thing these guys are going to have to get concerned with is if we get a long green flag run, they're going to have to start dealing with lap traffic. And you know as well as I do, that's not the easiest thing to pick your way through, especially when you got somebody hot on your tail. But Brian Halleck and Ozzy Milwane right now showing why they are number 1 and number 2 in points. And we're back under caution.
Hill's going to go ahead, and I'm showing multiple drivers. Michael Lane, Robert Gamble, and Paulson. Let's see what happened.
Lane and Gamble, that was for position. Paulson was not, but...
Holy
crap.
This was a big wreck.
Yeah, it was. And...
Oh, it started in front of him with the double 2 spinning. Started with Bryson Schutte. Let's start from there. Looks like he got loose. 84 gets him. Other drivers trying to avoid him.
And the thing is if you're Paulson, Lane, and Gamble, first rule of racing with a team, don't kill your teammate. Rule number 2 is if you are going to kill your teammate, at least make sure it's a Sports Center highlight. And that didn't work out for either of them.
No, it did not. Back under caution. Oh, what caution is this? I wish this would tell me, actually.
5.
5? That's not too bad.
No, it's not. But if you are playing the at-home drinking game, again, if you're playing the rookie version, take your 5th shot. If you're playing the pro version, take 5 shots.
Tony, if I was playing the pro version, at this rate, it's highly likely I would not be able to call the race.
There's a race that Sam and I did that we were playing the at-home drinking game, and we ended up with 23 cautions, and we were both glad that we were playing the rookie version because we hadn't come up with the pro version at that time. 23 cautions at Martinsville.
Martinsville's a fun track. I think I'd prefer FiveFlags. We should just go ahead.
Yes.
Retrofit FiveFlags for NASCAR, repave the surface, make it super fancy, and then run a race here.
Well,
this is where that the Clash should be, not that Coliseum.
There you go. Well, now here's a little bit of trivia for you folks tonight. FiveFlags was opened in 1953. The first race held here was won by Herb Thomas driving the fabulous Hunted Hornet, and it was the Grand National Division, which is now NASCAR's Cup Series. Fast forward a few years, and the first Snowball Derby came into existence in 1968 for late model cars. However, in 1980, and this is tonight's trivia question, winner gets a shout out in the next broadcast. Tonight's trivia question: what 1980s racing movie did FiveFlags play a starring role in as one of the tracks used? First one to answer correctly in the chat, you get a shout out in next week's broadcast as we are back underway, and Halleck getting it done as here comes Herzog putting all the pressure on Milwain that the 114 can handle.
Yeah, those 15 lap fresher tires at this point, I'm thinking just right sides, but 15 lap fresher right side tires on Herzog are really making a difference at this point. These other guys, 85 laps on their tires. I know 60 isn't that big of a difference, but when you get to this stage and the tires, you're really starting to feel them, that even a little bit of grip left in the tires goes a long way, as I expect Herzog to be all over the back bumper of Halleck here in the next few laps. Keep a close eye on that. Side-by-side action a little further back here.
Yes, they are. As that looks like the 002 of Shooty trying to work his way through after taking a pit stop to get that car repaired. And here comes the 322 of Paulson. So Paulson able to continue on after that little issue that brought out the last caution, trying to make some headway now as they are starting to get a little single file and a little bit strung out.
And I would say that's to be expected now with the tires starting to get worn out. You're going to see who can save tires a little better than everybody else, which is really an art that I haven't figured out yet. Here we go, another one. Shooty around, collecting, I think not Michael Lane, Jeremy Morrison, I think got a piece out on that, but we're still green, folks.
Yeah, it wasn't
Everybody's
too big
straight.
Of a P. It was definitely enough to get your attention, though, as there we go. Now we're under caution.
More issues.
Looks like Courtney getting a piece of that one. Yeah, Rob Courtney in this.
Oh, there's your highlight. Holy cow.
Ouch. Rob Courtney going for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride down the back straightaway here. Can we, yeah, there we go.
Oh, I don't even think he touched him. I'm going to back that up a little bit.
Just ever so slightly. If we can get one of the high-speed drones, there we go.
He did just a little bit.
Contact. And that was Stefan getting turned sideways, actually clips the right rear of the 64 of Courtney, and Courtney just eats the backstretch wall and then climbs. Oh, that's what got him. It was going back over the nose of the 56. And I didn't quite see who that other car was that that caught a piece of that one as well.
Man, look at that barrel roll.
Yeah, can we go back to the outboard camera there?
We most certainly can do that.
There was.
I'll slow it down again for you.
There was another car. Well, you don't need to do that, but there was another car back there that did catch a piece of that one.
Daniel Davis, perhaps?
No, I'm about to find out. The 333. Yeah, that was Dan Davis. So Davis catching a race car to the face as it was tumbling over the wall. Wow. That was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, that was a big event right there, Tony. We're getting to a third through the race. I don't want to say that things are going to heat up just yet. I think that was really, I don't think that was an intentional deal, just nature of this track and how loose it is. But what I tell you what, I'm really interested to see how Herzog does against Halleck up front. And we got to mention, that's a big deal. This guy came all the way from the back to get back up front. And he's there. Milwain's come down pit road. He's going to be restarting 11th. So it's going to be Brian Halleck and Herzog on the front row. I want to see if those slightly fresher tires that Herzog has is going to give him an advantage on the high side, or if he's going to just drop right down below the number 3 and try to rough some feathers a little bit to take the lead. As here we go. Pace car comes in. They're immediately on the throttle. Halleck gets a good jump. Herzog not quite as well. He's just going to turn down right underneath, or correction, behind the number 3 there with this 57 machine.
And we're back in the caution. Looks like Mike Lane.
Daniel Davis, Joy Haynes, what I'm seeing. Maybe a few others involved.
Oh,
that was totally netcode.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Aye.
That was a caution. That is a computer-generated caution right there. Or slow it down.
No, it wasn't. No, there was contact.
Yeah, it didn't look like it on the first camera view.
Yeah, Shank got into Davis, and unfortunately, they just ran out of room.
Right there, clear. They did not touch on my screen.
No, you're right. The only other thing, that it could be is, did Davis... No, Davis hasn't... He's down pit road now, but... And looks like a bunch of our leaders came down pit road that time.
I would say that it's about due. I mean, they're going to split this race up into thirds, I imagine. I'm not sure how many tires they have, but 100 laps a set. It's not a unlimited. Well, then I'd be getting tires all the time, but maybe they're looking at doing 100 laps a set as Don Dolson is now up front. Chris Sherburne, Roger Shank, and Ozzie Milwane's in fourth. We'll see what he can do if he ends up being the control car, if he can get around these guys in front of him. He's got about, but really only about 11 lap fresher equipment than the guys in front of him. I think this is going to be a really interesting restart. We might have some battling up front now with these new names.
Yeah, absolutely. The last time Dolson, Sherburne, and Shank were down pit road was back in the 70s. As a matter of fact, Dolson was on 70, Sherburne and Shank, Sherburne and Shank were both on 79. Milwane was on 91. Reeder was on 81. Joey Haynes was on lap 91. Morrison was on 92. Mcclure was on 92, and Mike Lane was on lap 70, and then you've got the Precious Tires on track behind him with Halleck, Herzog, and Gamillion. Field doubles up down the back straightaway behind the pace car, and Dolson gonna have the button for the first time tonight. Going to be interesting to see what he can do with it. He's got Sherburne starting to his outside. Let the games begin. Pace car is in. Dolson rolls onto the trigger, and it's a mad dash behind them. They're 3 wide going into 1.
All of a sudden, the energy level is increased just a touch there, Tony, as Dolson really got a good jump forward. Here comes Milwane making big moves to get to second. I don't think it's going to be long before Milwane is on the bottom side of Don Dawson there trying to take away the lead. Roger Shank and Chris Sherburne and locked in a pretty solid battle for third right here. And a little bit further back, you got the 84 Richard Mcclure, number 3 Brian Halleck. Halleck's going to try to make the outside lane work to get back up front, Tony. And frankly, if any machine can make that lane work, I'm going to imagine that it's going to be him on the outside up there.
And we're back under caution.
Under caution right as Milwane was about to make the high side work, try to get around Dolson. Let's see what happened here. I'm not really sure what happened this time.
I didn't catch it.
Watching from a different view here. I'm not seeing anything. There, yep.
44 going for a ride. That's Maurice Gamillion. Looks like he may have possibly had some help in the middle of 1 and 2.
Check it out one more time, just in case to see. Not a bad one, 56 of Stefan.
A little bit of net code, a little bit of help, and a little bit of connection issue for some of the guys around him. So that's going to rifle him towards the back of this thing. As looks like Shank in the 950 has taken it pit side. And the 318 of Spencer Todd getting back on the lead lap.
This be an administrative wave here, you think, Tony? I haven't noticed any other...
No, Lucky Dog is in effect.
I just hadn't noticed any of the other ones earlier, but then again, through our cautions, we've been jumping around, talking about other people, really highlighting what caused the caution and things like that. So that's good on Spencer Todd getting back into the game here.
At one point, Michael Lane was a lap down, so he is now back on the lead lap. So yes, they are giving Lucky Dogs here tonight. Currently sitting one or more laps down, though. Bryson Shooting, the 002, Rob Courtney, Robert Gamble, and Dan Davis.
I mean, Dan Davis is from Florida as well as Rob Courtney.
Okay.
How about that?
Looks like we are going green next time by. His field's starting to form up ever so slightly. Now the question is, can Dolson get the same type of restart that he got last time? More importantly, can he keep Milwane behind him? And what does Ken Reeder have for these guys? As we've seen Reeder be hungry all night and not afraid to use the chrome horn.
As far as it goes for Reeder, I think it's going to be really dependent on what Ozzie Milwane does on this restart. Right before the caution came out, Milwane was side by side with Dolson. Likely, in my opinion, with a really good opportunity to power off of, I think it was turn 4 for the lead as the pace car comes in. We're going to see what happens. Don Dolson's on the gas and Milwane's right there with him. Not quite side by side to turn 1, but Reeder, big move into the corner, side by side with Milwane. He might take that position away, Tony, just as you mentioned.
Well, it's going to be fun to see what does happen here, as Dolson didn't get the restart he was hoping for, waited a little too long, actually waited for the green to come out, and you're right, here comes Reeder to the inside of Milwane. Milwane doing everything he can to battle back on that high line. You know, the big question is this strategy to not burn the right front tire off?
Ooh, Reeder's going to get loose right there. It's going to open the door for Milwane to get back down, but the caution's out. It doesn't
looks
matter.
Like Mcclure.
As the pace car decides it wants to try to destroy Kenneth Reeder. Good thing he doesn't have a real materialistic car. I'm thinking this was a huge wreck, Tony.
Looks like Mcclure in the 84 may have gotten a piece of that one. Oh, yeah, he did.
Let's show this again.
Oy. That was a 75 of Morrison getting loose and just collecting everybody behind him. Ouch. Yeah, the 75 just gets loose in the middle of 3 and 4. 52 catches a race car to the face. Or 62, I'm sorry. And I guess we're back live.
Back live indeed. Don Dolson still hanging on to that position. Really doing a valiant job, Tony. I guess, you know, being in the lead makes a huge difference as opposed to being second. That outside lane is just... it's not working for these guys. It doesn't seem to matter how fresh your tires are. It's just not working.
Well, the biggest thing that was working in Dolson's favor that time was the fact that Reeder and Milwane were side by side, and neither one of them could really run the arc line that they wanted to through the corners. And Dolson, you know as well as I do, he's looking in his rearview mirror just smiling like the Cheshire Cat, going, yeah, go ahead, guys, just beat the hell out of your equipment. I'm just going to walk away from you. But the bad news, if you are a Don Dolson fan, he's got some of the oldest tires right now in the top 10, so probably not going to be too much longer here. He's about 45 laps on his current set of tires. And I mean, we've seen guys be able to go about 99 laps, but that's when they start to really give up the ghost, and all the guys behind him have much fresher tires. And don't look now, Brian Halleck is back in the top 5.
Brian Halleck sure is back up there. I wonder how long it'll be until we see him. He'll be starting on the inside lane, and that's going to be the preferred lane, so he could be third in a matter of a couple laps when we get back to green here. What I want to mention on Don Dawson, though, the good news is really all he's got to do is stay on that bottom lane. It's going to make it really difficult for people to pass, but we know you have to get that pushing effect with the older tires. Let's see what happens. Pace car comes in. Dawson gets a good jump this time, right on the throttle, but here is Milwane, who is ready for it. Milwane's going to clear him into turn number 1, I think. Is going to get it done. Not quite. Dawson's going to hang tight on the inside. Now Milwane gets it done. New leader. Another caution.
Milwane's going to get the lead as we go under our 8th caution of the night. Ninth caution of the night. As 44 again. In the 950 one more time. They didn't get it right the first time, so they tried it again. And there was help that time.
I want to take a look from the gyro here of the number 950 of Roger Shank and see what happens from that viewpoint. Why will you not let me watch from the cockpit?
Because reasons.
Yeah, the technical crew, they must be playing the drinking game like you mentioned, Tony. They're not in it to help us out. Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, cameramen are not allowed to play the at-home drinking game because I don't want, an hour's worth of pictures of the pretty girls in the stands.
I'm thinking that was a little bit between the both of them. I'm thinking that Shank was already there, and number 44 thought he might have had a little more room.
Let's go to one of the high-speed drones and see what it picked up.
I'm all about that. Let's try this angle right here.
That'll work. And you're on the wrong car.
Nope, I was getting there.
There it goes. Yeah, no. No, that was the 44 trying to tiptoe through one, and Shank never touched the brake till after he made contact. And that is commonly referred to as an ARCA brake. And for those of you who don't get that joke, Talladega about 10 years ago now. And that's about all I'm going to say on that one. But good news, Ozzie Milwane has been credited with leading at least one lap. And he does have the button this time. As the lights go out on the official iRacing pace car, it starts to pick up a little bit of speed. Milwane, Dawson, Reeder, Haynes, your top 4. As this is going to get fun. We haven't seen Milwane have control of the race yet. In that Tranco, a number 114 pace car is in. Milwane drops the hammer, and we are back underway. And here comes Reeder to the inside of Dawson.
Reeder gets a great jump right there. That's showing what those fresher tires can do, especially when you're stuck on the outside. But Milwane's really rolling. Here comes Halleck. Move Halleck back up to third. Dawson's getting left out to dry on the high side. This is not what he needed to happen. He needs to get down low and stay on that white line. No matter what, he's going to hold up the field, but he doesn't have much of a choice now that he's lost the lead there. He's running 6th. We're going to see what he can do. All eyes on Ozzie Milwane up front as he's trying to step away from Kenneth Reeder a little bit, and I can't imagine that Kenneth Reeder is going to make it easy on Brian Halleck to get into that second place position. So all smiles for Milwane as he's finally out front.
Absolutely, as Reeder's got to be careful because he's got Halleck right there. And Halleck's got to be careful because he's got a very hungry Mark Herzog all over his back bumper as well, as these top four starting to pull away a little bit. Joey Haynes currently sitting in the number 5 slot as he's just letting these guys use their stuff up. Haynes trying to conserve whatever he can right now, as he has a huge gap back to the 03 of Dolson. And that battle for second still hot and heavy between Reeder and Halleck.
Now this seems to be about the best battle on track. I just glanced through a couple moments ago and didn't see any other side-by-side racing. The action's definitely up front. Loose car from number 3.
Oh!
Caution out once again. That was one of the slowest wrecks I think I've ever seen. Everybody was giving each other room, and he just kind of went halfway around real slowly, and he's going to have to march to the front again, Tony.
Absolutely is. It didn't look like there was any contact. It just overcooked it coming off the 4. Was trying to get the run on the 41, and unfortunately just jumped a little too hard on that loud pedal.
It's what tough racing's gonna do, especially on, I don't want to say new tires at this point. It's not new tires, relatively old tires. Actually, he was on, excuse me, no, I'll take that back for him. He did have some relatively fresh tires, only 30 laps on his tires, but, you know, racing hard, trying to get that second place position from Kenneth Reeder. And notice that the car was going around, and I mean, heads up move on Herzog and Reeder both for recognizing that and not making it, letting it become something bigger than it was.
Well, heads up driving from the rest of the field too, to not, you know, clobber the wounded 3 as he was waiting for everybody to go back around before he tried to get that car pointed in the right direction. You know, doing the right thing, Brian Halleck just holding the brake, making sure the field passed before trying to right the ship, as I didn't quite see who that was. Looks like it might have been Shooty getting back on the lead lap in the 002. So Milwayne going to have the button one more time, as I believe the field just got the 2 to go signal. And if you are just joining us, welcome to ESPN and welcome to the Majors Snowball Derby. Currently getting ready to put 133 of 300 laps in the books. Relatively caution-free for a short track. And if you do like the action that you're seeing tonight, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, share, turn on bell notification, tattoo it on your dog's forehead. Whatever you got to do to remember a broadcast. If you turn on the bell notifications, you will catch every single broadcast we do, which we do broadcast 6 and sometimes 7 nights a week, sometimes 2 broadcasts a day. As Milwayne and Reeder are going to start up on the front row. Milwayne gonna have his teammate Joey Haynes starting behind him as Herzog battles up back into the 4th spot, and looks like Don Dolson didn't quite backslide as far as I thought he was going to. Pace car is in. Milwayne pulls the trigger and gets a great jump over Reeder. Reeder dives it down, and here comes Herzog on the high line, able to get by Haynes and start to reel in Reeder. No love lost between those two, as there was an issue earlier in the race between the two of them. A little bumping and banging going on, but all's fair in love and war. As Milwayne starting to stretch out about a 6-car length lead over Reeder right now. Herzog filling the rearview mirrors of the 41 though, as he's giving them all he can handle right now. And Herzog just stalking as pretty negligible on the difference between the tires on those cars. As the last time Reeder was down pit road, he only took 2. So the left sides on that number 41 have got to be screaming right now. As looks like Dan Davis in the 333 has put it on the hauler. So our first retirement of the night. Tough break for the 333. So he's going to be scored in 20th position. But right now, Ozzie Milwane just putting on a clinic as the 3 of Brian Halleck, who was the reason for the last caution, currently sits way down in this thing. Excuse me. Halleck currently being scored in 14th. But meanwhile, up in front, Reeder and Herzog. Battle finally over as Herzog able to wrestle the spot away from Reeder. Now sets his sights on trying to reel in the 114 of Ozzie Milwane. The Canadian showing the Floridians how to do it here tonight. As Herzog not making a lot of headway right now as the front part of this field getting more strung out than a methadone clinic. Milwane, Herzog, Reeder, Haynes, Dolson rounding out your top 5 as and we are big move going on there for 7th between Paulson and Sherburne.
I was going to say there's a bunch of drivers back in this group right here. This could change hands multiple times as the 135 for Sherburne's getting stuck on the high side. You have the 318 of Spencer Todd working on him down low. If he's not careful, that could open the door for the Maurice Gomelin. But don't look now, Brian Halleck still trying to work his way through the field. I don't think he's going to take his time. He is not going to be very patient. Look at this, he's going to turn low. He's going to try to make it 3 wide, get underneath the number 44 here. Wow, big move out of Halleck. Didn't quite work out, but he's definitely trying to get back in this game, Tony.
Halleck doesn't have a lot of time to waste as we are fast approaching the halfway point. 146 laps in the books right now as Halleck still working on his teammate. Now, the good news is those two guys are in the same Discord chat, so they know where each other are. But they've got to be careful because Jeremy Morrison has shown pace all night, almost gets into the back bumper of the 44. Gamillion, he's been used as a pinball a lot tonight by other drivers, and that's got to start to ramp up the frustration level.
Yeah, you can only take getting hit so many times before you get a little bit frustrated and stop giving room to other drivers. So far, so good on this run. Hopefully, his eventful evening is over unless he manages to win this race. But Brian Halleck is going to set his sights now on Chris Sherburne, and they're going to see what he's going to do right here. He's actually going to try to get underneath the 135 in the corner, side by side. Will we clear him coming out? He sure will. 44 around again.
Kind of saw that one coming, and you know, folks, your eyes are not deceiving you. The lights have come on. We are going to finish this one in the dark under the lights here at the beautiful FiveFlags Speedway. As let's roll that beautiful bean footage and see what happened to Gamillion there.
With pleasure.
Yeah.
And these two guys have been trading paint a lot today, Tony.
Yeah, I'm thinking the security might want to go to the pits for both those guys to make sure that nobody ends up going to the hospital post-race. As we've got a lot of takers going down pit road, Halleck being one of them. Halleck, Lane, Sherburne, Shank, Reeder, Gamillion.
Well, Halleck's got to make some moves. He's going to should come off pit road, I'd imagine, first. be 11th with the freshest tires on track. This could be a good move right here for Halleck. Well, actually, here comes Don Dolson, Paulison, Deloach, other guys deciding to pit the second time around.
Well, I dare say if you're pitting second time around, you're only going to take 2 because Halleck only took rights. Halleck only took rights, so you stayed on the lead lap.
You know, if we get an opportunity to talk to him at the end of this race, Tony, what I want to ask him is track position versus tires, and what is more important? Because we're seeing a lot of these guys in the top 6 just stay out over and over and over and over again. Now, that could be because they don't know what everybody else is going to do, and when in doubt, stay out, unless your tires are ridiculously old, you know? I'm really curious to know what these drivers think about that with the way the track's driving tonight. I didn't get to turn any laps on the track, so I don't know exactly how it's driving or it's driving in traffic. I know how it drives typically, but maybe for these guys, track position is better. But when you're that far back, Halleck's actually going to gain positions, end up in 8th with those fresh right side tires. Perhaps in this case, track position is what you want to keep.
Well, you know, the biggest thing, by only taking rights, if the car is a little on the tight side, which it could have been, but if it's showing a little on the tight side, right sides only will loosen the car up. But much like yourself, not getting laps tonight, I haven't been in this car on this track since the latest tire model came out. So I don't have the answer either, but we will definitely be talking to our top 3 post-race and find out what's going on there. As the pace car is in, Milwane pulls the trigger, and Herzog goes with him.
Great restart from Milwane and Herzog. But take a look at this, Tony. We got 4 cars with the same paint scheme that lined up one behind the other. That was Ozzie Milwane, Joey Haynes, Spencer Todd was in there, as well as the 002 of Bryson Schutte. That was a pretty cool scene. I'm going to go ahead and assume teammates all the way around, same paints, as Milwane's leading Herzog, but Herzog finally back up there, and the caution comes out once again before we can see what's going to happen.
Looks like it might have been Mcclure.
That's what I'm showing. Let's see what happens here. Oh, avoiding the number 60. Not avoiding the 62. Drilling Michael Lane.
What happened to Mike Lane to cause that?
I'm just guessing.
A lot of damage.
Loose. Yeah, it just got loose right here.
And that's, like I was mentioning, with the 3 of Halleck taking the right side tires, the other way that you can get the car to loosen up is dialing rear brake in, and I'm thinking Mike Lane may have dialed too much rear brake in, and unfortunately swapped ends, and we're back under caution. But
you know what happened to Mcclure right there is he was following the number 44 of Gamillion, and Gamillion last second went to the high side, and Mcclure just had to figure out somewhere to go, and he chose to go low, and that's where the 62 had slid down to, but he couldn't see him trying to follow the 44 around.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, you really hate to see that happen. But yeah, these guys are getting some good runs going on right now. As let me give you the answer to your question here. Yeah, Evolve SimSport Academy. Ozzie Milwane, Joey Haynes, David Gagaro Jr. Yeah, there's Schutte is also a driver for that team. So they've got a pretty stacked house tonight. The other one that's pretty stacked is the Ford Racing cars. As you know, they've got a good contingent in this field too. And I am not 100% certain if they do hand out team points here, but if they do, you know, expect there to be some beating and banging, as we're getting ready to put 162 laps in the books of 300. And these guys are picking them up and laying them down.
I'm hoping we get a good green flag run here and see what's really going to happen, you know, because Milwane's staying out. His last time he got tires was on lap 91. I really want to see how he does on a long run. Is look at this. Once again, that inside row. I'm looking forward to this restart, Tony. See what Herzog's got for Milwane.
Well, the more important question is, what does Haynes have for Herzog? As we are back underway, Milwane pulls the trigger about a car length and a half to the good over Herzog. Herzog drops down and...
Oh, he's going to get that inside lane.
To the inside.
Wow, look at that. He's going to slide just right down there, and he's going to go... Oh, man, wow, great move by Milwane. I really didn't think Milwane could do that right there, and he held tough on the high side, but I think he's going to ultimately lose the position. And looks like it's probably going to be here off of turn 4. And he does.
There it is. Herzog gets the clear. You know, this is one of the few tracks that we have been to since the new aero and tire models have come out that we haven't seen that second lane really come into its own. You know, you can take a look at just about every other oval track that we have gone to, and those guys can make it work in that second lane, but unfortunately, I don't know if it's, you know, the aero model, the tire model, the track model, what it is, as we've got something going on towards the front there, or had something going on towards the front. If the camera operators would stop drinking. That's Brian Halleck trying to make his way back up through this field.
Well, we had multiple drivers pitting a few laps, about that caution a few laps ago. That really opened the door for Halleck to gain some positions without having to battle for him. Once again, worked his way up through the field. The 56 gets real loose here. That almost causes a trouble for Halleck once again, but they avoid it. Halleck to 4th.
Absolutely, as Stefan realized that Halleck had a little more speed than he did in that car. As Halleck starts to walk away from him, now he's got to reel in Joey Haynes. Now, if you're Joey Haynes right now, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, the two Canadians working well together right now in front of Halleck. That's Milwane and Haynes. As Herzog starting to leg it out a little bit in the 57 up towards the front, but Halleck all over the back bumper of the 338 of Haynes right now.
Yeah, good battle really starting to brew right here, Tony. And I can't say we didn't expect it as things got real dicey, and they're still dicey. And 338 and 3's going to go around and get clipped. Trouble, again, bigger trouble behind him as Reeder gets involved and Schutte.
I kind of figured that was coming after I saw the cut down coming off a 2 that Haynes did. Completely tried to throw the block as hard as he could on Halleck, and Halleck just laid the chrome horn to him about as loud as anybody I've ever seen. And oh, here comes a receipt. 002. Go back and show that. The 002 was looking for a receipt on the 41. Coming off a 4, and it looks like he may have laid the chrome horn to him. Because he had a head of steam going into 3, and you could tell he was hunting right there. No, after the caution.
We're just going to play it out from here. Just kind of follow Schutte is what I'm doing.
Don Dolson catching a piece of that one as well. And keep your eye on the 002 as he's got a head of steam here ripping through traffic. And you can see the 41 up there in the distance. 002 gets to him. And okay, does not give him the receipt.
Maybe he thought better of it as he got a little bit closer there.
With the speed that he was going down the back chute, I thought sure as anything we were going to see a receipt given there.
Which, I mean, this is short track racing. I mean, what else should we expect? There's been a bunch of cautions now, a lot of trading paint.
But Herzog, Milwane, Haynes, Stefan, and Reeder, your current top 5 as we are working caution number 12 here tonight. Getting ready to put 177 laps in the books. And, you know, the big question is Milwane holding anything back? He's gotten that bonus point for leading a lap. Herzog's gotten his. You know, a handful of guys have gotten theirs. His lights do go out on the pace car. Getting ready to go green this next time by. And, John, this is about to get exciting.
I don't doubt it at all, you know, and I'm not so sure Milwane is holding anything back. It's a little bit fresher tires for Herzog. Or no, corrections, the other way around. Nope, that's right. Herzog has the fresher tires as he's on the green. Or excuse me, on the gas into turn 1. Milwane does not battle too hard to his outside. The battle's right behind them with Joey Haynes and Adrian Stefan. Stefan's going to lose the position. Reeder back in this thing trying to put Stefan in another position down.
Well, Reeder and Stefan have been throwing haymakers at each other all night. And there's Bryson Schutte in the 002 right there as well, trying to make some headway. As looking a little bit further back, it looks like Brian Halleck in the 3 might be just mired in traffic right now. But these guys up towards the front are starting to get it sorted out a little bit. Herzog and Milwane have just set sail. Joey Haynes has all he can do to handle everything behind him right now. He's got a back angry hornet breathing down his neck.
The pace is starting to pick up a little bit here, or should I say the aggression is starting to pick up. And, you know, really, let's look at Brian Halleck real quick. If he manages to get up front and win this race, it's just going to be outstanding. You know, obviously showed he's got a lot of speed, but every time he gets back up there, he gets involved with something. Had a self-spin, got hit a couple laps ago, and back to 10th. Manages just every time he gets involved in something, he does an excellent job at taking care of the machine, though. If he spins, it's not a hard impact. If he hits somebody else, it's not a hard impact. He just seems to do a good job when things go wrong at taking care of the car, and I mean, that's half the battle as he's working on the number 235 of Robert Deloach.
Yeah, absolutely. He's working on his teammate right now. That's 225 of Big Bob Deloach, as Deloach trying to figure out what he's got to do to get by Don Dolson, as here comes Milwane to the inside looking to get a twofer down the back straightaway.
Wow, things definitely starting to get a lot more dicey this time around. Doing a good job keeping it green right now. A lot of fun. Here comes Halleck as he gets the position away from Don Dolson. Halleck is up to 8th. He's marching, Tony. He's on the way. Herzog still out front over Milwane by about half a second. Joey Haynes about a 2.5 car gap to Kenneth Reeder. Things really starting to spread out up front a little more so, as you mentioned, a couple laps back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really starting to get hot and heavy right now between Stefan and Schutte. And here comes the 3 of Halleck to get by Jeremy Morrison in the 75, working the inside, gonna get the clear. Are we gonna see a slide job off of 4? No, just pure power move for the driver of the 3, hauling it off into turn number 1. He's now got to deal with Schutte and Stefan, as those two guys still in lockstep. That is your battle for 5th.
And Brian Halleck really getting around this track easy, Tony. Freshest tires on track, or freshest tires in the top 10, should I say. Last pitting on lap 174. He's got a lot more grip than these guys. He's able to get underneath them and just drive right off the corner. Much better than the competition. He's making all these passes look really easy. But I mean, the question is can Schutte and Stefan stop trading punches so the 3 can get around, as the 3 is going to touch the 002? He's going to use the bumper to get around him. Contact, no caution. Halleck up to 6. I told you he's not wasting any time. He needs to get back into the lead, and he's not afraid to do so by any method.
And that's how you move someone out of your way without causing a caution. You give them the old double tap, move them up out of the groove, give them a little bit sideways, then tap, just ever so slightly tap the front of their car to get them pointed straight again. Meanwhile, they're off the gas and you're on it, so you are going to get the spot from them. As Halleck starting to reel in the 56 of Stefan right now. And go ahead.
I was going to say Brian Halleck posting the fastest lap times on track. Not that it matters now, but he was posting the fastest lap times on track, and Herzog was pretty close, but not quite as fast, showing Michael Lane involved this time.
Absolutely. As Oi! Looks like Lane hit that bump on the exit of 4.
Ooh, that was really, really close for the 84 Mcclure.
Yeah, let's roll that beautiful bean footage again and see what did happen to Lane, see if he had any help.
Back it up a little more from right there.
No, he didn't have any help. He was just a tick sideways, and around she goes. And just like that, we are back under caution. Haynes, Herzog, Milwane, Schutte, Dolson, Stefan, McClure, Todd, Shank, and Paulson all bringing it pit side to get some fresh shoes put on those machines.
And so Kenneth Reeder up 18 positions here, and Brian Halleck is going to be on the front row once again. So now we get to find out, track position versus tires. But the thing is, these guys are going to have 20 lap fresher tires than Brian Halleck. I want to say, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, I still feel like Halleck is, if he's not the best driver on the track, or the best driver driving the track right now, he's one of the top 3, right? I really want to say him being up front, if he can get the lead away from Kenneth Reeder, he can counteract these fresher tires behind him, starting with Herzog in 6. And so we're going to see what happens, especially if we keep getting cautions like this. He just not a ton of time to get tons of heat in the tires, to cool the tires back off. This is going to be a really interesting last 100 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing you got to be concerned with is heat cycling the tires. If you do get a decent run and then depending on where you put the car on the caution laps, it's possible to cool those tires down to the point where you've actually changed what that tire actually is. Like if you're running what's generally referred to as a gumball tire, you can turn it into a harder compound just by a couple of heat cycles. And that's the one thing to really be concerned with, especially with how these guys have been running. We run a handful of laps under anger and then get a caution again as lights are out on the pace car.
Looks like we'll be coming to lap 200 to get this one started. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kenneth Reeder, Brian Halleck. Halleck will be on the high side. Reeder's going to be the control car. Pace car's in. Here comes Reeder on the throttle. Really good restart. Halleck almost kind of sleeping there as Jeremy Morrison's going to get to the inside of him. Wow, Jeremy Morrison all the way up front. He's been having some trouble tonight, and he's battling for that second place position with Halleck. I think Halleck's going to be able to clear him in one of these corners in a couple moments, but not if this Mark Herzog has anything to say about it. Herzog working on the high side of, that's Jeremy Morrison now. Getting tongue-tied there, Tony. My mistake.
Herzog trying to make it happen in that second lane. You saw him try to diamond the corner there, gets a straighter run off of 4, and just like that, Herzog back up into the top 3. Halleck's got to be careful as they are quickly coming up on a lap car as well. That's Reeder showing the way in the 41. Halleck sitting in second in the 3. And 57 to Herzog as all 3 of them are starting to walk away. as that is Richard Mcclure in the 84. Unfortunately, getting ready to go one lap down. Currently 15 cars on the lead lap, as McClure, the last car being scored as such.
And you got to wonder if Brian Halleck is going to use Mcclure up here potentially as a pick to try to get around the 41 of Reeder. He really can't wait too long, because those fresher tires are, they're eventually going to be coming, as Halleck's going to make the move to the inside. And honestly, I think once you're inside side by side with the competition, you might as well just give up the position. And that looks to be what the 41's going to do. But Herzog is right there with them, so this battle for the lead is far from over.
Well, that started with Reeder getting a little sideways off of 4 that let Halleck get to his inside. Herzog flashes by as well, but the battle is hot and heavy right now.
Oh, trouble. Shooty and Morrison.
Morrison getting the Spanish Archer going into 3. Looked like that might have been Shooty in the 002. And Spanish Archer, the old elbow. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Just leaning on each other, and nobody wanted to yield there. So unfortunately, he had the contact, and around goes the 57.
Yeah, we're getting to that part of the race. It still looks like there's a ton of laps left, Tony, being 92, but you got to remember, this track is, just about a half a mile, if I remember correctly?
Yes,
a little bit less than a half a mile. It's like a 4th mile track, if I believe.
No, it's, they got, let me look. Come on. I can get my mouse to work.
Unfortunately, some of our previous ESPN guys like to deal with kilometers, and Tony and I aren't as well versed in kilometers as we're both Americans.
Not a fan.
Yeah, we grew up with the imperial system, not the metric system, which, even though the metric system is probably a better system, we're Americans and we like to be a little bit different. But I'll show them 0.78 kilometers. It is a half mile?
Yep, 0.8 kilometers.
It is a half mile. See, we could replace Bristol or Martinsville with this track for one season. Maybe a truck race. How about a truck race?
Well, here's and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. It's the hotel situation in the RV parking, in the RV parking situation. Now, are there? Here's the thing. That's the reason why they no longer use Rockingham, because Rockingham was in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina. And the nearest hotel was 25-30-minute drive from the track without traffic.
Oh, yeah, that had everything to do with it. In this case, Pensacola, there's going to be no short supply of hotels, but parking.
Right.
Parking, grandstands, that's the issue. This was built and designed to be one of those American short tracks, and that's what it's going to remain. But it never
Well, the other thing,
disappoints.
too, is they would have to put safer barriers in. They would have to change the grandstand and seating, and then you would lose what this track is, the essence of this track, if you did that. But lights are out on the official iRacing pace car. Halleck gonna have the trigger, as Herzog gonna be starting on the outside of row number 1. And here we go, coming off of turn number 4. Halleck pulls the trigger, Herzog goes with him, and that's what fresher tires can do. You can jump more aggressively on that loud pedal, and just like that, Herzog back to the point.
Yeah, Herzog going to be a power move over Brian Halleck here. Brian Halleck not going to give it up too easy. He can still roll that bottom line really well. Another big battle behind him. That was real tight. That was almost trouble between Stefan and Kenneth Reeder. Somehow managed to stay straight and stay out of each other, but that was almost big right there.
Reeder, with some of the oldest tires right now in the top 10, got it a little bit sideways coming off of 4. As here comes Ozzie Milwane with his climb back up through the field. As the 114 works around his teammate, that's Bryson Shooty in the 002, Milwane in the 114. As Milwane now sets his sights on trying to reel in Reeder to try to claw his way back onto the podium.
Yes, yeah, Milway not done yet. We saw him up front for a little while, ended up taking some tires, slowly working his way through the field. I don't imagine he's going to be behind Kenneth Reeder for too terribly long, as Herzog starting to very gently step away from Halleck. Gap's almost a half second now. Adrian Steffen with fresher tires and Halleck stalking the number 3 for the second place position right now.
Now here's the thing. As far as your top 3, Herzog took 2. Halleck, last time he was down pit road, took 2. Steffen took 2. Reeder took 4 back on lap 150. Ozzie Milwane was down under the previous caution and took 4. So he has the 4 freshest tires right now in the top 5. And just like that, he gets to the inside of Reeder, makes the pass happen, and he's going to bring his teammate with him. That's Schutte in the slipstream of his teammate. Those guys both pitting on the same lap. As looks like battle hot and heavy right now. That's Joey Haynes trying to make something happen, and here comes Sherburne and Paulson throwing haymakers at each other.
Yeah, now I'm willing to say that things are starting to really heat up. The aggression is definitely up. People are taking. You're seeing names that that were stuck in the back for a while, finding ways to get forward in this running order. These guys are still side by side with Paulson here in the 322, and you got the 338 there of Joey Haynes just in front of them.
They are teammates.
Man, there's so many of these green and black cars. It's starting to get confusing.
Oh, there we go. And we are back under
Robert Courtney, Michael Lane.
Why am I not surprised? Oh! Wow. That started with Mcclure hitting that bump on the exit of 4, and he got into Courtney, he got into Lane. Courtney absolutely nowhere to go, just race car to the face. But yeah, the 84 caught that bump coming off of 4, and Mike Lane in the wrong place at the right time. And we are back under caution. Now, the big question is anybody going to come down pit side? There's your answer. Sherburne, Reeder, Paulson, and Mcclure all going pit side. And Mcclure has finally burned his fast repair.
You know, talking about going pit side, I really think if Brian Halleck was going to pit, this is probably his last opportunity. Because I'm thinking any later than this, say we get another 30 lap run, that's going to be too late for him. So I think he's just kind of made his bed here, sitting in second with 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field.
As much as I hate to say it,
right side tires.
Yeah, the left sides are much older than that. But he's got to be real careful because he's going to have a very hungry Ozzie Milwane. So first and second in points are going to be starting in the front row and the second row on the outside lane. So this is going to be a fun restart because we're really going to see what Halleck and Milwane have for each other here, as don't count out Adrian Steffen and Mark Herzog. Herzog has been strong all night, and clean air to the front splitter of that number 57 has done wonders as soon as he's gotten into the lead. And he is on a similar pit strategy, as is Ozzie Milwane. Both those guys last bringing it down on lap 195, though Herzog took rights and Milwane took 4. So going to be real interesting to see how this one does play out as the lights go out in the pace car yet again.
You know, a lot of cautions in this one, Tony, now at this point, but still, these guys are making great time of 300 laps. That might have a lot to do with this being a half-mile track, and these machines get around the track in about 16.5 seconds at worst. And now with the action heating up, this thing's going to be over before we know it, as here comes Herzog. He's right on the gas the moment the pace car's out of the way. Huge jump over Brian Halleck. He's already at 0.6 of a second in front of him before exiting turn 2.
About 6 car lengths to the good over Halleck. And Halleck now falling back into the clutches of Adrian Steffen and Ozzie Milwane. And Milwane's going to bring his teammate Bryson Schutte with him. Now, that is a huge points implications with those three, as any spot that they can get by and put Halleck down, that's one more point that Milwane can gain in the point standings, as Milwane, your current points leader, Brian Halleck, only 11 points back from him. But these two guys showing why they are number 1 and number 2 in points tonight.
Absolutely. And you know, one thing that I'm thinking for Brian Halleck here, what he's going to have to do is just do what he's done best this whole race. Rolling that bottom, rolling through the corner, staying on that bottom groove, making it really difficult to pass. And I think if he can do that for this last 67 laps that we're going to be on here, I think he's going to be okay. But he's going to have to do that and really hope for these guys behind them to use up their stuff, which, I mean, we know Adrian Steffen's not going to make this easy for Ozzie Milwane, and Bryson Schutte's been involved with a lot, so you know he's hungry and really wants to prove that he can finish well, even while battling through a bunch of carnage, as here comes Milwane to the inside of Steffen. Let's see what happens right here. Schutte's going to try to follow him.
Plenty of room given in that battle for third. That's Milwane on the low side, Steffen on the high side, and here comes Schutte to try to relegate Steffen back to 5th. Schutte trying to follow his teammate through side by side with Steffen coming off a 4 drag race. So far, give the spot to Schutte, as Schutte finally gets the clear on the exit of 2.
Something that I want to mention, if you come up front, these top 2 now between Herzog and Halleck, they've traded lap times the last 2 laps. Brian Halleck was faster the first lap, and Herzog just a bit faster the second lap. And that time by Halleck was 200ths faster than Herzog, closing in on the back bumper of Herzog now. Maybe those tires aren't going to make that much of a difference after all, or it could just be the way these guys drive. Unfortunately, I don't have the timing information in front of me. Maybe Halleck has fresher left side tires than Herzog even, and we just don't know.
Well, here's the one thing I would like to point out. Brian Halleck, when he did have fresh tires, tied the overall track record for the Snowball set by Ty Majeski back in 2015 with a 16.20. So Brian Halleck putting up times in the real world that would have put him on pole for the Snowball Derby, as he is stalking Herzog right now.
And you know, Tony, as impressive as that is, I wouldn't count Herzog out, though, because he was only 600ths slower than that time at a 16.26. I can't tell you when that lap took place, but these two guys definitely showing why they're fast. Milwane's up to 3rd. And you know, I'm sure Brian Halleck would like to have a little more room away from Milwane, but those points implications. But man, this is shaping up to be a fun race with 58 to go, as we're coming to the line to 58 to go, I should say.
Absolutely, as Milwane and Schutte in lockstep right now, not really battling with each other, just trying to work to try to reel these two guys in, as there is about half of a straightaway lead over this battle for first, and then you go back to 3rd place, Ozzie Milwane. And Milwane right now just trying everything he possibly can to reel in, as
here's
Halleck
the bumper move
all over the back end of Herzog. Throws it in going into 3.
You know, Tony, I want to show the rest of the field, but Halleck showing us why we can't do that right now. He got right up to the bumper of Herzog. I thought he was going to use it, and I'm guessing he just thought better of it, or just didn't quite get there. But these two guys really putting on a show. And frankly, I imagine if Halleck can get around Herzog, that could be the pass for the win here. as these two guys really going at it. 16.66 for Herzog and a 16.73 for Halleck last time by. These guys are running within a hundredth of each other, or within a tenth of each other every single lap, I should say. It's real interesting. And, something even more interesting is the fact that Milwain and Schutte seem to turn at the exact same moment, get the drive off at the exact same moment, and they're literally, as you said, 1-2, just trying to pick up some time. And I think that's a really neat thing to see. And golly, Halleck just doing anything he can to try to get back up to Herzog to give this guy a run for his money.
Well, we're getting to that point of the run where you've got to be careful with that right front tire. And if you get right behind somebody in the corner, you saw it happen there going into 3. Halleck could not get that car to turn because he was in the aero wash of Herzog. Now, these things have a huge blade on the rear spoiler, or the rear trunk lid. That's about a 6-inch plexiglass piece that sticks vertically off of the trunk lid. That punches a huge hole in the air. Good news for you, bad news for anybody behind you, because no air is getting to the front of their car. As Halleck gets to the low side, coming down the front chute, just cannot get the drive off of 4.
And I can't imagine Halleck's going to be patient for too much longer now with only 50 laps to go. That's really not that long here at this track. If he really wanted to, I think he can get up there and just touch him with that bumper, but he's still trying to do this respectfully for now. But you can only do that for so long until you start to eat up your tires. Going back here to Ozzy and Schutte, nothing's changed for them. And this will change everything.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm showing here.
And that's what I'm showing as well. And gets into it with the 84. Oh, Mike Lane again with a race car to the face. Jeepers.
Well, they'll take that lead that Herzog and Halleck had over everybody else and say goodbye, as there's a little bit of faking going on there. Both of them pretending like they're coming down pit road, and it's not going to happen. First taker is going to be Robert DeLoach, leaving from 10th. Then you got Don Dolson, Roger Shank, Steve Paulson coming down pit road as well.
And Shank, you would expect to come down pit road as Paulson as well. We're to that point in the race. The biggest thing is you've got to be careful, because if you take 4, you're going a lap down. So what you've got to do is you've got to kind of farm the pit stop, come in, take 2 in fuel, then go back out, try to get a decent gap from the pace car, and hopefully be able to come back down pit road and get your lefts put on. That's about the only way that you're going to be able to get 4 and not end up going a lap down, because the pace laps here are only 39 seconds, and you're more than that to take 4 in fuel. You're about 50 seconds from cone to cone. You're 37 seconds just to take 2. So 19 cars still motivating around this place as Dan Davis in the 333, the only one to decide to put it on the hauler here tonight. Herzog in control of this one. Brian Halleck sitting in second right now. And then you've got the tandem of Ozzy Milwain and Bryson Schutte looking to try to help Milwain extend to his points lead. As lights go out on the official iRacing pace car, Herzog gonna have the button again, electing to take that low line, able to have control of it. And the thing is, anybody that's driven this car knows that that's where you want to be on a restart, because you can look left and see a little bit out that the left side window. But there it goes. Green flag comes back out. Herzog pulls the trigger, and here comes Milwain.
Hey, he's not taking any time trying to get around Ryan Halleck. He knows better. If Halleck gets comfortable on that low side, the pass is going to be a lot harder to get. Well, he's down low right now. This is his best opportunity. Can Halleck do anything to hold him off from the high side? Battling back here really well. And this is going to be the best way to do it. He's going to have to prevent Milwain from driving up the track and getting the best run off as they're still side by side.
Halleck doing everything he can to try to pinch Milwain off, but he's got to be careful of that aggressive bump coming out of 4 as Milwain doing everything he can. Full send-it mode for both these guys right now as we are fast approaching the 40 to go mark. And it's Halleck on the high side, Milwain on the low side. Halleck goes a little bit higher coming off of 4, carries the momentum, and just like that, slams the door going into 1.
That's a championship caliber move right there. Like you mentioned, coming into the race, he said he was 11 points back, 11 or 12 points back, keeping Milwain behind him. Even if it's only by 1 position, every position counts, especially when it's an advantage for you.
Especially considering that we are going to have multi-class racing the next time these guys appear on the channel, as our next race is going to be October 26th from Road Atlanta. It's going to be the SCCA runoffs with the Mazda MX-5 and the Spec Ford Racer. So going to be interesting to see who chooses which car for that event. Because they will be giving out class points that night, and if they're both in separate cars, both of them could be battling for the win in their respective classes, and it's going to be road racing, so it's going to be anyone's game at that point.
That sounds like that's going to be a rather interesting event. I can't wait to be a part of it. That's going to be really difficult to determine how the points are going to work out, so I can't wait to start trying to wrap my mind around that, as Herzog's out front just by about 0.7 of a second over Halleck.
Shooty.
And then, yeah, here comes Shooty around Milwain to the bottom. He's going to get the position. You got teammates 3rd, 4th, and 5th there, Shooty, Milwain, and Spencer Todd. I wonder what happened to Milwain. Something did as Shooty disappears there. I wonder if he got loose and that opened the door, or did Shooty just come up and take it away from him?
Just a little bit of a wiggle out of the 114, which lets the 002 get by him. And if you're Spencer Todd, if you're...
there's trouble.
There it goes.
Courtney around.
Rob Courtney going for a wild one in 4, and just a little bit of the Spanish Archer on the exit of 4 from the
322.
The 322 of Paulson, just banging fenders. And unfortunately, when you're trying to get on the throttle here, it's just that simple to put one sideways and around. And you know, we're closing in on 30 laps to go. Now the big question is anybody going to come down pit road to get that fresh set of tires? Because we've got such a short amount of time left, you know, this is going to get real interesting really quick.
I know who's hoping the field does not come get tires and he can have an opportunity at racing to the win. It's going to be Kenneth Reeder in this 37 Imposter number 41 machine with the freshest tires in the top 6. Currently sitting 6th, last time pitting on lap 225. I have a feeling that he's going to have something to say about this one before it's over, especially with this caution tightening up the field.
Well, the thing is, last time he was down pit road, it was only for 4.7 seconds in his box. That was fuel only.
Could have just been fuel.
Yeah, that was fuel only, just to make sure that he can get to the finish of this one.
Man, I'm getting excited for, like, good fuel stories, man, and missing the time because of all the action, and I just want to see something crazy happen, which I'm sure it's going to happen, but I'm looking for the story. Come on, guys, give me a story.
Okay, then.
But you can't pit here, Tony, we both know that.
Rob Courtney just did.
Oh, I mean, he doesn't have a choice. He just got clobbered.
Yeah. And I dare say that the last time he was down pit road, Ken Reeder burned his fast repair. Herzog still has his in his pocket. Halleck, I believe, still has his in his pocket. Looks like Schutte still has his in his pocket, too, as there's a lot of front-end damage on that 00 deuce, as I believe we are 2 to go. It'll be lights out this coming time across the stripe.
We're going to have less than 30 laps to go. How many more cautions do you think this one's going to have, Tony? 3? 5? 0?
Hopefully 0.
Probably 6.
So you can get your hate mail coming now. That's John Leach, ESPN Towers, Hollywood, California, P.O. Box OU812. As lights are out on the official iRacing pace car, Herzog has the button as the field works its way through the 3-4 complex. He can pull the trigger as soon as the pace car clears the racing surface. There it goes, and here we go. Stutter steps him coming off of 4, and that's going to let Schutte get to the back bumper of the 3 of Halleck.
And you know, Halleck, though, big move. He had no choice but to cut Schutte off, and he did exactly that, and it worked out for him. He's going to hang on to that second position. Halleck can slightly breathe a little bit easier knowing that Milwane's 2 positions back and not just 1 for the championship. And there's guys all over Milwane back there, too. Any step, he can lose that position. Herzog up to a 3/10-second lead now over Halleck, but Halleck not going to back away easy as we're coming to lap 275.
The good news for Milwane, it's a teammate in front of him and a teammate directly behind him. That's Schutte in 3rd, Milwane in 4th, and Spencer Todd in 5th, as Reeder starting to hemorrhage spots.
And Reeder stuck on the outside there. He's going to have to get down low. It looks like he's going to force the issue until he's not. He's going to keep the door open. He's going to have to squeeze down. He's going to. Man, he was at risk of losing a bunch of positions right there. Halleck still staying with Herzog up front. Nothing too new right there. Still about a car length. I'm not going to say this race up front's over just yet.
Absolutely.
Caution's out.
And we are back under caution. Looks like maybe Gimbal.
I'm not sure. Let's see here. Oh, stuff happening in front of him.
Oi.
44-225.
That's the teammates getting a meeting of the minds there.
Or 235, I think.
That was Deloche and the 44 of Gamillion. And
that
yeah,
really fast too.
Yeah, that was a bad meeting of the minds there.
Let's see if Mcclure. Yeah, Mcclure was involved here too.
The 84 got involved in that one.
Let's see.
Tried to pinch down and
that was violent.
I
tell you what, that cameraman right there, Tony, just had an excellent shot of that happening.
Absolutely. And the judges' scores in for that 50-50 rail grind by the 325 of Deloche. 8.5, 8.5, 3.2 from the Romanian judge.
And Tony, if you haven't already, when I stepped away, I think now might be a good time to bring up that trivia question from earlier, as none of our viewers have guessed what it was.
Well, again, tonight's trivia question, which looks like I'm the only one watching right now. So as you are watching the replay of this, first correct answer in the post-race chat. What 1980s racing movie featured this track as one of the tracks used for the location shots and actually did film a race here for the movie? And the only hint you're getting is it was one of Anthony Michael Hall's first major film roles. That's the only hint I'm giving on that one. So Herzog, Halleck, Schutte, Milwain, and Todd, your top 5. As I believe the lights just went out. 2 to go. No, lights are out. So inside 20 to go. Have we seen the end of it yet? Does Halleck have anything for Herzog? Does Schutte have anything for both of them? And what can Ozzie Milwain do? We're about to find out. Field working its way through the 3-4 complex. Pace car is in. Herzog holds him down, pulls the trigger, and we are back underway as Halleck gets a great run, able to hold off Schutte. And here comes Spencer Todd relegating his teammate back as they are side by side for 4th.
Yeah, that could have been huge implications right there before this is all said and done.
Deloche.
So that's number 3.
Oi.
Oh wow, Mcclure again. Almost same group of drivers.
Almost?
I mean, there were some new faces. I don't see the 44 in it. But Mcclure...
No, the 44 was able to take evasive action, just barely. Oh. Wayne catching a race car to the face. The 950 of Shank catching a huge piece of that one. Mcclure, just a loose cannon here tonight.
That was pretty violent. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was.
Try to watch it from the view of Dawson here. You can see the 84, Mcclure just behind him. Hits the 950, hits the 950 again, 235.
So if you're Richard McClure's crew chief right now while we're under caution, do you tell him to go back out on that track and hit the pace car?
At that point, he might have been involved with every car on track. No, I don't want to say it was all like his fault, but man, he's been involved in everything, a lot like the 44 has, and
the 62.
The 62, yeah, the 950's been involved in a lot, and yeah, I guess that's just what happens when you're kind of stuck in the back and you're trying to make moves up front. You know, or you feel that you're better than being 15th on back, and the laps are winding down. You gotta go for it, you know, and that's what these drivers are doing.
Short track racing.
Yep,
that's the nature of this place. You know, much like you would see it at Richmond and Bristol and Martinsville in the Cup Series on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, or Saturday night, depending on what they're doing. Is I know Martinsville just got lights in. Bristol has had lights for a while. Richmond has had lights for a while. So, you know, short track racing brings out the aggression, and we are going to get the restart with 12 to go. Herzog going to have the button as field works its way through the 3-4 complex again. That's Halleck on the high side. Pace car is in. Herzog wastes no time, drops the hammer, and we are back underway. Here comes Schutte to the inside of Halleck.
Yeah, Halleck was not ready to go that time. We're going to see if he can hang on to second place. He's going to somehow manage to do so in front of Schutte. He just does an excellent job on the high side right there. Kenneth Reeder working on Spencer Todd. Spencer Todd is going to hang on to it. He's not going to be caution number 4.
Back under caution.
Since I'm talking about, you know, we're keeping score, you know, the hate mail. If we get there, you can't send me any hate mail. Because then it's not fair.
No, we're sending you the hate mail because you jinxed the field. That's the reason for the hate mail.
This is short track racing. These guys were going to wreck no matter what.
No, you jinxed the field. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But that was a big moment for Spencer Todd, going for a wild one. And that kind of started when... I'm
going to back it up a little more from here even.
Yeah, Schutte got a little squirrely coming off of 4. He caught the apron, And Todd had to check up just ever so slightly, and just a slight rub. Tried to do the right thing and keep it pinned down, and it looked like Shooty went for a hell of a ride too. So Todd gets pointed in the wrong direction. What happened to Shooty?
Let's try to see. Let's follow this along with him. He gets hit by the 322. It just disappears.
Just
I bet he
overcooked
disconnected.
it.
Probably not on his fault, but
Mcclure and Deloche have put it on the hauler.
I think Shooty had a network problem.
That's what it's looking like.
Just disappeared.
Although it's looking okay on this side of things.
Yeah, I'm not showing him on the track anywhere whatsoever.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, 4-digit ping for Shooty. Yeah, that's a rough one. You know, had at least a top 3 car in his pocket. But bad news if you're a Brian Halleck fan. Look who's right behind him. That is your points leader, Ozzie Milwane.
With the preferred position.
With the preferred position. And don't look now, but Reeder has clawed his way back into the top 4 as well. So we still have a ton to race for, as we should be going 1 to go this time.
You know, I think we might run out of laps. We may not get to 6.
No, we're definitely going to run out of laps. So Herzog has the button for what should be the final restart, because I don't believe these guys do overtime. Herzog, Halleck, Reeder, Milwane, Stefan, Paulson, Haynes, Morrison, Courtney, and Sherburne, your top 10. Pace car gets ready to make that hard left turn onto pit road. There it goes, and here we go. Herzog wastes absolutely no time, and here comes Milwane to the inside of Halleck.
Halleck, once again, just wasn't quite ready for Herzog to get going, but Milwane sure was ready. Halleck going to do the best he can to stay on the outside of him. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Milwane's edging out just in front of him coming out of turn 4, but Halleck, a great run off in the wall. He's going to lose the position. Here comes Kenneth Reeder. Can he hang on to 3rd?
The answer is a definite maybe. As just full send it mode going into 3, slips up a little in the middle of the corner, gets the run, and that's the race.
Showing Joey Haynes.
And that's what I had too. And there may have been contact there as the 338 just went sliding sideways into the outside wall in the middle of 3 and 4. And yep, Spanish Archer again from, looked like that might have been Jeremy Morrison in the 75.
I did show Jeremy Morrison involved as well.
Yeah, so Morrison dove it in going into 3, and Haynes just a victim of circumstance. As
Morrison,
the 70,
after the
Morrison,
fact.
Yeah, Morrison spun it around. So that was... And that's the one thing that these guys have really got to police a little bit better, is making sure that your number in the league matches the number on your car. Because I didn't quite catch who that was that threw the elbow there, but
final lap. I think you're right. This is gonna be it.
There it is. White flag in the air. Halleck able to hang on for a top 3. Herzog, hard-fought victory there, able to come home with the victory. Ozzie Milwane, your points leader, going to extend that points lead ever so slightly over Halleck with a second-place finish here tonight. And there's still a ton of racing left to play for, as there are exactly 2 races left in the series. The SEC runoffs on the 26th, and then First week in November, we get the Japan Indy 300 from Twin Ring Motegi, and there it is. Herzog hanging on for the victory tonight. We are just waiting for everybody to get into the appropriate Discord servers here. Yeah. So far, no bueno. But John, I mean, these guys never fail to impress. Month in and month out, running a different vehicle. I think that's the race.
I'm watching Herzog. There he is. Herzog's going to burn it down. I'm going to call that the end of the race. Like you said, yeah, for sure.
But, you know, month in and month out, these guys are in a different car at a different track. And, you know, it's nothing short of amazing that the skill level you need to be able to quickly learn a different car, find its nuances, get it set up to your liking, and then be able to keep that car under you for the entirety of the race. And sometimes you're racing the track just as much as you are the other drivers.
You know, and I gotta say, that definitely takes a lot of time if you're going to go from multiple disciplines of racing, super late models, cups, that they're going into the Miatas and the Ford road racers, and in a few weeks. That's hard. That's really cool stuff, and the fact that Milwain and Halleck are leading in the points just kind of goes to show that they can drive in every single discipline, which makes this a really intriguing series, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to follow. I can't wait to see how the next race goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if this is going to let me bring these guys down. And of course it's not. Give me 1 second here. John, I believe you've got a race winner with you tonight.
Skipping all the way to the race winner, Mark Herzog. Mark, congratulations on the win. Ended under caution, but a win is a win. How do you feel?
That was awesome. I got to apologize for Brian, though, for just barely nipping him in 1 and 2 on that one time. I feel so bad about that. But a win is a win. I'll take it. He was tough at the end, though. I think if we had green flag runs, he would have got me because he had four better tires. We were about equal on right sides, but I think his left sides were way better than mine.
Well, we hear it there, Tony, because we were showing that Halleck came down for right sides about 20 laps prior to you, but he did a really good job hanging with you. I don't know if I feel like the cautions could have gone one way or the other. They could have been benefiting you or benefiting him. Unfortunately for you, you seem to be the benefactor of that. But let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the other two drivers this as well, or a combination of me and Tony. Are going to do this. What was more important, tires or track position tonight?
Position is always important at short tracks. If you can get the tires early and survive that mid-pack until it clears out, then you can get tires. But position, especially at the end of the race, is always important.
All right. Tony, do you have anything for Mark?
Just congratulations on the victory here tonight in Pensacola, Florida. What are your thoughts going into the next round of the American Sportsman Division as we go to the SCCA runoffs at Road Atlanta?
That should be interesting. I don't think I've run the spec racers at all, so that'll be fun, and hopefully I'm able to make the race. I haven't been able to make too many, but I just moved my schedule around to make sure I can make this one.
Well, the good news is if you do decide to go with the spec Ford Racer over the Miata, they have done a lot of changes to that car since it originally debuted on the iRacing servers, and it has vastly increased the raceability of that vehicle.
Awesome. Sounds like fun. I just need to throw a shout out to the guys at Sector 5 for sticking with us. And I think we had a pretty good run as a team. And I got to thank the team guy, Brian Bennett. He's brought us all together. And Mike and all the guys that put this show on, and all you broadcasters. I mean, it's just a top-notch quality product that all of you guys do.
All right, Mark, again, congratulations on the victory, and we'll see you next week in Atlanta.
Thank you again, guys.
So that was our winner, Mr. Mark Herzog. And joining us now is your points leader, the one and only O Canada himself, Mr. Ozzie Milwane. Ozzie, hard fought all night long. You were up towards the front. Just all things considered, you can't be too disappointed coming out of FiveFlags with a podium finish.
No, I'm super happy with that, considering we're known as road course guys. So it was definitely nice to put it up front this race.
Absolutely, and your whole team was battling up towards the front for most of this thing. As I mean, you guys were stem to stern, 3 cars, 4 cars deep at sometimes. Was that by plan, or was it just your setup was working better than everybody else around you?
I don't know. We didn't really have a plan, to be honest. We tried to keep it clean. The guys had some lucky dogs, and they got back up front, and they had the pace, and we just tried to stay in line. We were in the Discord talking, so we knew what each other was doing. But yeah, it worked out.
Absolutely, and the one thing that John and I were both wondering, in your opinion, what was more important, fresh tires or track position here tonight?
Honestly, I think it was track position. That was my goal. I only took 2 sets. I took the right side first stop, and then I did all 4 the second stop, and it seemed to work. On the last pit stop, I took a little bit too much fuel, and it upset the car a little bit. It was really tight on exit, but emptied the fuel tank a little bit, and then it started to work a little bit better.
All right. Well, you said you're known to be a road course racer. You got to be licking your chops for the October 26th as SCCA runoffs at Road America, or Road Atlanta. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're gonna start testing next week. It's gonna be tight again. We're in the Miatas. A lot of people are good at those, but yeah, we're gonna do our homework and hopefully take a championship.
So no thoughts of going to the Spec Ford Racer?
Well, don't you have to run both? I thought you had to run both at this race.
I don't have that answer, and no one has informed me of that. So
Looks like I'll have to do some research too.
Yeah, I do not. I thought it was going to be a mixed class race. That was the way I understood it, similar to the way you guys ran Spa.
Right. Yeah, it might be. Oh, I got to look into it.
But, John, you got anything?
No, Tony, you touched on everything. You asked the question that I wanted to ask, and he mentioned track position, and I was thinking track position too, so thanks for answering the question. Congrats on P2 and extending your points lead.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I just want to thank Tranco Innovations and Tranco and Direct Innovations for supporting us throughout the season, and all the guys on the team.
All right, Ozzie. We will see you in 2.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Sorry about that, but Ozzie, we'll see you in 2 weeks at Road Atlanta. Looking forward to seeing what you can do there.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
And John, I believe you have our 3rd place finisher, Mr. Brian Halleck, with you now.
Brian Halleck, congratulations, P3. Probably not where you wanted to finish. We knew you were looking for first. You led a lot of laps early. You had to come from the back, I think 3 or 4 times. Go ahead and explain to us and the viewers kind of what your battle was like to finish 3rd tonight.
It was really great that first stint, being on pole, being up front, everything was nice and easy. But once the pit cycle started coming, you got to go through the midfield once or twice or even 3 times, like you said. I felt like they were happy to run in a train, but I needed to get up there. So I was forcing my way up a couple times. You're right. Had to take a quick repair once and that reset me once, but I came right back up, and pit strategies changed a little bit, but I got up towards the front again, and we were kind of had made our bed with our pitting, and my tires weren't as fresh as P1 or P2, but I felt like I had Mark, quite honestly, in the end, if we could get some green laps.
Okay, so then my next question being, we've asked the other two. I was kind of wondering about you. You seem to kind of stay out in opportunities where I thought you could have pit. Did you determine or did you decide in the race that you preferred the track position over being in the back because basically kind of what happened to you all race? You know, you got caught up in a couple things here and there, but for you got caught up in things up front. But still, the question is track position versus fresh tires. Which direction do you lean with that?
Today I felt like it was track position. I think a lot of us did not even change lefts. We were thinking we should pit at 100 and 200 for rights only, and I think that's what a lot of the Evolve guys, and I'm not sure what Herzog did, but we actually changed the strategy, and once we knew we could make it to the end, we had so many cautions. We were fine running 100 green laps, but there's so many cautions, we said let's just pit now, and we decided to do like 140 or 150 lap stint on the tires, and it was fine, quite honestly. I was holding them off because they kind of plateau, but to answer the question, I think staying out and having the track position is a little better, at least for me. After 30 laps or so, the tires are more or less the same, but we tried to stay out as long as we could.
All right. Well, thanks, Dan, for answering the question. Tony and I talked about that a lot over the course of the race. It was a lot of fun to watch. Tony, go ahead and let you speak with him as far as how he's thinking about looking forward.
Absolutely. Brian, you've got 2 races left to try to wrestle that championship away from Ozzy. Your thoughts going into the race on the 26th at Road Atlanta for the SCCA runoffs?
Yeah, I'm just running out of time. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I needed a good position here, and I need Ozzy, quite honestly, not to have a good position. And it did happen. Obviously, he passed me towards the end even, so I didn't even beat him in my strong suit, which is oval. So, I'm feeling fine at Road Atlanta, but it's just there's not enough races for me to gain 12 or 13 points, whatever it's going to be.
Well, there is one more oval left, and it's going to be one of the more difficult ovals, and that's, of course, November 7th at Twin Ring Motegi. Let's look forward even further. Have you been on that track in the old IR05 or the 2019 IndyCar, as iRacing refers to it as?
No, I like oval, but I feel like I just like cars with a bumper on them. So Indy oval or whatever is difficult because I like racing tight and pushing and shoving a little bit. So yeah, it's anything can happen. But to answer your question, no, I haven't been out there in a while.
Well, I'll give you the key to that car if it's an open setup. The weight jacker is your friend.
Okay, we will bind the button for it and mash it when we need to.
Absolutely. But, Brian, before we let you go, is there anybody you need to thank tonight?
Yeah, the team, very supportive the last couple weeks. Matthew Thunhorse, who is our setup builder, did a great job. He and I both ran the Euro race today, and so we've done 600 laps together. It's been a long day. He had killer sets, and that was part of my kind of confidence going long in the runs, and so thanks to him. And then our sponsors, Rethread Clothing Company and Majors Garage. But yeah, it's been a good race. I felt like I had him if we could get some green laps, but couldn't quite do it. So it was a good win for Mark and Ozzy catching me there at P2. A lot of fun.
All right. Well, Brian, best of luck to you in 2 weeks at Road Atlanta. Looking forward to seeing if you can make any headway in the remainder 2 races of this championship.
I'm trying. See y'all. Thanks.
So John, your first race here with the major series, your takeaway from FiveFlags tonight.
Well, I think we got a typical Five Flag style race. Most Five Flags races that I've been a part of or seen aren't nearly this many laps, but I think we got a typical race. I think what we expected is what happened, and there's a lot of cautions. The track was very loose. I thought it was a really fun race. A lot of action in the last 50, 60 laps, and a lot of drivers really trying to go after it and get it, and a lot of fun following Milwain and Brian Halleck. The points battle was close, kind of rooting for Halleck to get up there because he had to fight through so much adversity. But at the end of the night, it was Herzog who came out on top and Milwain who ends up extending his points lead by virtue of finishing one position in front of Halleck. So I thought it was a lot of fun, really fun series. Looking forward to next time.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest shocker that I had is every other oval track I have broadcast a race from since the latest tire model and aero model have been rolled out by the iRacing servers. The second lane usually is able to defend, but it wasn't the case here tonight at all. I mean, we saw guys be able to get to the inside, and going into the corner, they get to the inside lane, and whoever's stuck on the outside just started hemorrhaging spots, especially on the older tires.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I did think that the upper lane would come in a little bit better as the night went on, but it really didn't, and it showed, and I think that played a factor as far as who won, because starting second, it ended up just handcuffing you, and you had to pretty much drop down and follow suit and try to make moves on the actual racetrack. But that being said, Tony, I've got our results up now when you're ready to go through them.
Yeah, absolutely. As we already spoke to Mark Herzog, coming home with the victory here tonight after facing some adversity early on himself. Ozzie Milwain extends his point lead to 12, coming home in second, finishing one spot ahead of Brian Halleck, who still remains in second place in points. Ken Reeder and Steve Paulson rounding out your top five. John?
Adrian Steffen, 6, had a lot of adversity. He was involved in a bunch of stuff, finishing 6. But take a look at this one, Tony. Rob Courtney. I felt like we called his name every single time there was a caution. Somehow, some way, when there's a will, there's a way, he finishes 7th. Jeremy Morrison, another driver who was involved in a lot of cautions, finishes 8th. Michael Lane, who kept taking race cars to the face, 9th. And Spencer Todd, we talked about him going around a couple times as well, finishes 10th.
Absolutely.
Really good recoveries.
Very much so. Chris Sherburne in the 135 coming home in 11th. Don Dolson, after having some early race trouble, coming home in 12th. Maurice Gamillion in 13th. Joey Haynes in 14th. Haynes being scored the last car on the lead lap. And then we've got 15th of Robert Gamble in 15th, 3 laps down.
And Bryson Schutte, unfortunate, man. The laps winding down, sitting third, hits the outside wall and just disconnects. Something went wrong, and really unfortunate. Had at least a top 5 car. Tony mentioned a top 3. I think he would have finished somewhere between 3rd and 5th, and unfortunately finishes 16th. Roger Shank has a tough night, finishes 17th. Robert Deloche, 18th. Richard Mcclure, Daniel Davis. Those 2 drivers are going to round out our field, 19th and 20th. Tony, I had a lot of fun tonight. However, all good things must come to an end as well. It's another good week here at ESPN and for the Major Series.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys, again, they only put on races every so often because they've got to give the guys time to learn the new car, learn the new track, and work on a setup that'll work for them during the race. So we're going to be back in 2 weeks, as we mentioned, from Road Atlanta for the SCCA runoffs. That's going to be the Mazda MX-5 and the SCCA Spec Ford Racer. which, John, I don't know if you've run the spec Ford yet, but I remember when I first started, it was one of the more difficult road cars to learn, only because it had an H pattern shifter, whether you were using a flappy paddle steering wheel or not, and it was very easy to over rev the engine and very easy to hand grenade that thing if you weren't careful with your shifts. Downshifts were a nightmare, and the weight balance of that car was it was not very beginner friendly in the sim. But from those that I've spoken to that are fans of that car, it has really changed since the last iRacing update. They updated that car, and now it's so much more racy. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that does next week, or in 2 weeks.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I enjoy those little small road course racing cars. I'm not very good at it, but I can't wait. Should be a good time.
Absolutely. And don't forget to join us tomorrow night for the iRacing East Rowdy Energy Cup Series. Not 100% certain where they are, because we did Talladega last week. But be sure to join us for that one. Action will start at 8:20 Eastern Time. I believe that's going to be James and myself in the booth for that one. And then we've got a whole slate of action for you the rest of the week here on the iRacing family of broadcasts, or the ESPN family of broadcasts on iRacing. So don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, share, and turn on bell notifications. Give it a thumbs up. It'll really help with the algorithm to get this out to the masses. But, John, I believe it's going to about do it for us tonight.
That sure will. We want to give everybody another thank you for being a part of the show with us. For Tony and myself here at the ESPN Network and the rest of our fellow producers, commentators, league admins, families, and friends, we're going to close out the week. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Good night.